While campers like you and I dream of this throughout the long day's toil. A quiet parking spot, a willing companion, a climb that's testing but not too long, an approach to a solitary summit, a perfect tent, a perfect piece of grass, a solitary summit. Views through England's border country and through to Scotland. A breeze that's cool. No insects bothering you, just a gentle buzz of honeybees collecting. A new stove to try. A marvel of Japanese engineering. So join me on this camp. Right, that's us pitched. Sunset over here to the west of Dumfries, and sunrise over here in the morning, with the doors of the Vern 1 pointing that way. So I've brought the crossing pole up. It's a calm night, so I'm going to put it on to try and to show you on this first wild camp in the Vern 1. So there's the crossing pole, box fresh, and it comes with another repair sleeve. It's the same 9mm South 7001 as the main pole, it's just a little bit longer. And to avoid confusion, it's labelled crossing pole there, and the wee bag it's in is also labelled crossing pole. So there's no need to thread it through anything. All of the Velcro attachment points come undone. Clip at the end here and start to clip it along as we go. The Velcro. Clip. And that's it. Just found some squash cans here. Thatcher's Blood Orange. Do you know anybody who drinks that? It wouldn't be him. He always leaves no trace. But wild campers don't leave no trace, leave less trace. So that just helps to tension up all of this middle key section, make it more streamlined, make it more wind resistant. Right, let's get the stuff in the tent, get some food on. I'm loving this double door. There's plenty of space to get your stuff in. Electronics, sleep gear. So this is Hedgehope Hill, and we've got rising an enormous moon. I think this might be the start of the blue moon. So the Stormbreaker has just one nozzle and one jet for all different fuels, and it's got a preheat ring here. This is the rather beefy gas stand, and this enables you to invert the gas canister in a very stable way. So tonight I'm not feeling full of a lot of chat and wisecracks. I just felt on the way up an incredible sense of peace, just bliss almost, to be coming here. Oh, I've had 3 full-on days at work, and I finished at 5 tonight. Chucked the kit and put the dog in the car and just blasted up here, and it's such a transformation to be suddenly in this, and I'm glad you're here. And I know you're not here live, but in the coming days when I play this back to you, and hopefully you'll comment on what you thought of the stove and what you thought of the tent. We can relive these moments, but right now it's just fab. This is getting a nice glow on now, but it's I can get that super low. We'll roar up high. And then, that curry wasn't bad. It was just an Aldi one. The Marks and Spencer's tin curries are fab next time. But to wash it down, I've got some, I think it's 10-year-old Jura. Lovely. And one of my favourites, if you haven't tried it, do it. The Adventure Food Mousse au Chocolat. Doesn't sound much, but it's absolutely great. And well worth it for a treat. So this should be a challenging condensation test for the Vern one. I've not even got inside it yet, and there's a lot of moisture forming on the tent, and that's because it's been a very warm day, and with it being into nearly September now, it's cooled down significantly at night, so all the warm air that's been kind of trapped has suddenly condensed. If you want to know much more about the facts and figures of this tent, have a look at my first comparison video, and don't forget what there's going to be is an upcoming comparison weekend of this versus the Scarp one over a long weekend. But with this tent, it's going to be a slow burner really. I know I'm going to be using this for a long time in lots of different conditions, so doubtless I'll be saying more about it in the future. But tonight I just want to enjoy it really and just get the feel of it without worrying about a lot of facts and figures. But I'll comment on in the morning about, you know, how the night's been, how the condensation's been, and if there's anything that I would change. Nortent fish. Morning. Well, we've woke up to steady rain. It's been heavy rain in the night, but I haven't had a chance to seam seal the tent yet, and that's something that is recommended, but I haven't done it, and it's been absolutely fine. But Nortent use an overlap seam and cold stitching with an expanding thread, and they go to a lot of trouble to do that. Some manufacturers like Exped use the same technique and don't recommend seam sealing, but Nortent do. But there was heavy rain in the night, and then it stopped, and now it's gone to a moderate
prolonged rain, and there's zero water ingress. But I am going to seem silly, but yeah, it's been a nice night. So despite little wind, there's zero condensation inside, so I just slept last night with the door like this, partly ventilated, and since I sleep on my side, I was kind of exhaling out that way anyway, so quite a nice setup. With it being such a long tent, I could just breathe out that way, and had the vent open each end. That one there open to allow just a little bit of through draft, but yeah, not a bad night. So I'm gonna make a cup of tea and have a bit of breakfast and pack up and go home. And this afternoon my son wants to go surfing, but I've just bought a pack raft, so I'm going to be trying that on the sea this afternoon. Wish me luck.
What's it like, honey? What can you see? Is there anything I would change so far? Not really. There's loads of space here. I'm on my knees inside in this kind of like central area. Got plenty of space. If I start to put a lot of gear, phones and stuff in here, this section gets pulled down, so you've got a little bit less face space. I mean, that's absolutely fine with 2 pillows and to read and stuff, but if you put a lot of gear, that pulls down. So I just wondered if an easy mod would be to have another attachment point for the inner here and one there, just so it was more suspended off the outer tent, because just one point there. I might be wrong, but you know, there's plenty of space and plenty of gear space to be a little bit untidy. I'm not saying much about this on this trip, but this is the Soto Stormbreaker. It's a multi-fuel remote canister stove, and what a piece of engineering that is. It looks like the valve a train driver would open to let a little bit of water out for his cup of tea while he's on the platform of his steam train. Absolutely amazing. Just clicks open like that, just this little perfect little retention. Wow. And so stable. You know, a bit over the top for one man in a small tent, but you know, you make sacrifices with equipment, so you can use the things that you really want. And I've made something, a thin plastic chopping board, and I've glued a piece of leather on the other side, so that makes a food prep surface, and then something to stand the stove on the other side. Right, cup of tea on. So keep an eye out on my stove playlist, because I'm going to get some use out of this stove, and then I'm going to be doing a full review on it, what comes in the package, the fuel options for it. Nido, I think it's called, powdered milk. A bit of that with your muesli, and it's the most milk-like experience that you'll have. I'll put a link to it below. It's really good stuff. Good. So, loads of space for that in here. And the rain had just started again. I brought the dog back in. But other than one tip of a boot there, the rain that's coming down with no wind isn't wet in this area here, so this is remaining really kind of like pleasantly sheltered, to be honest. Yeah, great. It's the doors and this vestibule area that are
I like the most, the versatility of it in the space. It's
full on started lashing it down again. Put the dog in the vestibule for a bit. So you can see there the extent where the rain's reaching. It's coming from over here. And there's just a line across here where it's kind of pouring in or dripping in. So you've got all the area up there and all the area over here. It's still really sheltered. Something I did notice when I went out before is just how cold it was out there. I think this is definitely going to be a great British mountain tent, because it's never hot in the British mountains, and this is well, rarely, and this is a warm tent. It's going to be a great winter tent for sure. It's kind of like cozy inside, and this relatively thick inner tent feels really warm. Plenty of space for kind of living and cooking. It's a cozy place to be. I don't know how it would be on a baking hot day in the valley, because it is a really warm tent despite having good ventilation. So I was about to get out, but I think I'll put it off for another 10 minutes. It's lashing it down out there. The benefit of using the crossing pole, even though there's no wind, is it keeps the tent taut from above, so there's very little sag despite me pitching in warm conditions. I love that. It's the way it runs off. Right, there's no putting it off. Time to get this down. It's a wet morning, but I don't care. And I won't say there's nothing to see, because there's not nothing to see. I've got a beautiful trig point. I've got a gorgeous wet tent. I've got a gorgeous dog. And lots of beautiful purple heather. But it is a bit dreek. So let's get this tent down. Everything's out, I'm ready to take the tent down. There's only one slight technical problem. There's one thing left inside. You don't want to come out? You want to stay there? Come on then, out you come. Good girl. So I think you might be able to see without the crossing pole and without my tightening the guys, it's loosened off a little bit. So if I just tighten that one guy at the end, that's put the tension back in and taken up that slack. And I've really enjoyed that first night in the Vern one, and I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for coming along. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the tent and what you thought of the Soto Stormbreaker. There's going to be lots more of both to come in the near future. Enjoy your autumn wild camping. I think it's the best time to be out, really. We've got a little bit of weather, a little bit of a challenge, a little bit cooler. Fantastic. Cheers. You can just see the sun shining off the sea. It's promising for this afternoon for my pack rafting. Before I go, I just wanted to finish as I started. I'm a fire kind of person, burning through stuff, rushing, going on to the next thing. But as I started this video with that reflection, I wanted to finish with it, so that fire can go to a smoulder, glowing embers, and that's where the hill takes me. I hope it does the same for you.